The search is on for a Hilton Head Island chef missing for nearly a week, what police say he left behind and the last time he was heard from. Plus, Election Day is tomorrow. We speak with all three candidates for Savannah mayor about why they say they're the best choice. And Guyton city leaders are working to improve the parks in their area. A look at what they're considering upgrading. Fox 28 News at 10 starts right now.
This is Fox 28 News at 10.
Beaufort County deputies are searching for a Hilton Head Island man who has been missing now for nearly a week. Fox 28's Christian Felt has more details now regarding the search for 50-year-old Michael Serafesi, who officials now deem to be endangered.
The search continues for local chef Michael Serafesi. Officials with the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office say he was last seen on October 28th and last heard from via text on Halloween night. Officials have located Serafesi's car at his Sea Pines residence, but say he could have his cell phone, keys, and wallet on him. Serafesi has been the head chef at Ombra Cucina Italiana since 2013 and has received honors like being named the island's best chef. Members of the island community have taken to social media to raise awareness about the ongoing search and share their wishes for his safe return. His disappearance is even gaining national attention after the National Center for Missing and Endangered posted the case. As the search continues, we will provide the most up-to-date information as it becomes available. On Hilton Head Island, Christian Felt, Fox 28 News at 10.
Now, the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office asks if you know or see Serafesi, you may be able to, if you can, please call 911. Well, we've learned a person has died during an officer-involved shooting after fleeing from a traffic stop in Beaufort County. Now, officials say deputies tried to initiate a traffic stop along May River Road. This is near downtown Bluffton over the weekend. They say the car was driven by someone who had an active felony warrant for his arrest. They say the person then fled police and the chase ended with the car colliding with a tree and fence near the entrance of the farm community that's over along Buckwalter Parkway. At the time, there was an exchange of gunfire between sheriff's deputies and the suspect. The suspect is now dead and SLED is investigating. Savannah police arrested a man in connection to a Saturday night shooting along West Bay Street. Jonathan Walker is charged with aggravated assault. Police responded to a shot spotter report just before 11 Saturday night. They found a man with a gunshot wound there. He was taken to the hospital with what are believed to be non-life-threatening injuries. Tomorrow is Election Day across our area. While there are several races, one of the most watched will be the race for Savannah's next mayor. The three people running are current Mayor Van Johnson, City Council member Keisha Gibson Carter, and political newcomer T.L. Davis. Now, we spoke last week to all three candidates about issues that are most important to them.
Despite really insurmountable odds and tremendous historic challenges, this city has continued to thrive, and I want to make sure that we thrive for all. We still have some very big issues we have to address, and I feel I'm the best qualified, the most experienced. I have the best temperament to be able to lead this city through this next chapter of our existence.
You have to know that I'm skilled enough, smart enough, and experienced enough to put together a 5-plank platform, which is consistent with reducing crime, stopping wasteful spending, reducing people's property taxes, as well as tackling our homeless problem in our community, and then doing something about issues related to forced displacement.
I do plan on really going after our young people. I would like to create a big sister, big brother program. That way we are able to get a hold to our teenagers and get them on the right path. We need new ideas, we need new brains, we need newness to Savannah.
Now, whoever residents choose come November 7th will fill the seat for the next 4 years. Polls open tomorrow at 7 a.m. Now, we'll have all the results tomorrow on Fox 28 News at 10, as well as over on fox28savannah.com. CAT is giving free rides to the polls tomorrow. The services will be in operation from 5 a.m. until 10:15 p.m. The CAT to the Polls initiative will include all routes, providing direct connections for residents to their voting sites. Well, it's been another sunny and warm day across the region. Chief Meteorologist Tommy House joins us now with what's expected for the rest of the week.
Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Right now it's 56 degrees in Savannah. Pretty chilly up into the low country. Temperatures cooling down in some places in the lower 50s already. We reached 80 degrees in multiple communities across the area today. A little bit cooler in the immediate coastline. 80 for high in Savannah as well as Reedsville. 81 in Jessup. 80 in Alma. Some pockets of upper 70s across the board. And this pattern of warm weather will be continuing across the next few days into the weekend. Right now it's 56 degrees. Winds are calm. It's pretty dry out there. Dew point in the mid 40s. High pressure continuing to stick around. A few higher level clouds sticking around just entering our region here, but we will be staying dry across the next few days into the weekend. Driving to work tomorrow, seasonable and sunny. We turn the clocks back, so we'll have abundant sunshine at 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. as well. Temperatures warming up from the 50s to the 60s with high temperatures across the board in the upper 70s to low 80s out there. Some places could reach the mid 80s. We're going to talk about a day-by-day forecast of the weekend and a change in the temperature Saturday into Sunday coming up in just a bit.
Leaders in the city of Guyton are working toward creating a vision for the future of the park system there. Fox 28's Genevieve Lund gives us an inside look at a Parks and Rec community meeting, as well as drawing board plans.
The city is planning to improve two play facilities, Bazmore Park and Guyton Old School Park. The plan includes increasing activity options such as adding a new splash pad and an outdoor amphitheater, while also prioritizing safety and opportunities for all age groups.
These pink dots are existing parks that you all have. Here we're thinking we've got the Pocket Park, the Recreation Park at Bazemore Park, and then the park back here, Old School Park. So thinking about revitalizing those existing parks, and then the black circles are considering some future park options. So here, kind of in the downtown area, potential urban park site.
Sticky notes and pens were placed out on tables for listeners to mark up the plans and circle things they would like to see. Stickers were also used to designate ideas for areas on the layout plan.
We're going to use the dots again like we did last time, and they're color coded. So green dots mean you like the idea, yellow dot means could be better, and red dot means do not do this at all, don't like this idea.
The architect and landscapers made a point that they want it to feel more park-like than parking lot-like, and how to balance bike paths, walkways, and parking lot accessibilities to the parks.
There's a balance there for sure. We don't want to, destroy the park with a parking lot, but we don't want to make it so it's not accessible and people don't want to go there because it's too far to get to. So point well taken.
Reporting in Guyton, Genevieve Lund, Fox 28 News at 10.
Now, the next step after this meeting is to have the city review and approve the draft plans. A final draft will be announced at the end of the year in December. Still to come, a world-renowned artist displaying his art right here in the Coastal Empire. We speak with him about the gallery and where you can find it. And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in Columbia, when the South Carolina State Christmas tree will be lit up. Plant Riverside District is showcasing original work by artist Jean-Claude Roy as a part of Roy's 21st annual art tour. Well, tonight he met with people who got a chance to look at his original pieces, and Roy has been painting his whole life. Every piece he's done, he states, has been a moment of his life. He lived in France and Canada, where he experienced these moments that he turned into art. Now he wants people to join him, experience the moment, and feel the passion through these pieces.
I guess that some people, I'll tell you, we're going to go through it without looking at it. And other people will see something about it. They will see that feeling that I get. Is what I want them to take with them, the feeling.
And you can check out J.C. Roy's art on display throughout the whole month of November over at the Grand Bohemian Art Gallery. That's over along Forsyth Park. This is a part of his tour where he will display his art at Grand Bohemian art galleries across the U.S. Whether you think it's too early for all things Christmas, the South Carolina State House is still getting in the spirit. South Carolina's official Christmas tree arrived at the State House this morning, standing at roughly 35 feet tall. This year's tree is from a farm in Morganton, North Carolina. It's the 19th consecutive year Greer-based company TimberTech helped transport it to the city. Now, officials with Experience Columbia SC say the decorations will include around 900 lights.
There's so much that goes into this in terms of getting the tree here, procuring the tree. Behind me, it's being put into place right now. It will be decorated over the next few days. Dominion Energy will help with stringing it with lights. I think up to 900 lights will go on the tree.
Now, the tree will stay dark until the 57th annual Governor's Carol lighting. That takes place on November 19th. Still ahead, former President Donald Trump testifying in the civil fraud case out of New York. Hear what he had to say when he left the courtroom. Cincinnati police are still searching for whoever is responsible for the mass shooting that killed an 11-year-old boy and injured multiple others. Now, the victim's father, grappling with grief, pleads for the public to come forward with information.
Would this ever stop? Like, how many people have to bury their kids, their babies, their loved ones?
Now, officials say 4 other children and an adult were injured in the drive-by shooting Friday. All victims except for one were released from the hospital. The one victim remains in stable condition, though. The Cincinnati police chief calls on whoever is responsible to surrender.
Because if you don't, we will find you and we will bring you to justice.
Now, detectives continue to comb through possible leads. Little other information, though, has been released at this time. Now, the father of the man charged with the deadly mass shooting at a 2022 4th of July parade outside of Chicago has pled guilty to 7 misdemeanors, in fact. Robert Cremo, Jr., in fact, faced a single count of reckless conduct, one for each victim that was killed. He gets 2 years of probation and 60 days in jail. Now, prosecutors say Cremo sponsored his son Robert III's application for a gun license, despite the younger Cremo previously threatening to kill, quote, everyone. Now, as reported by a relative, he said those words. 21-year-old Cremo III now faces 117 felony charges, but no trial date has been set. The number of children who went to the hospital or the emergency room for gun-related injuries, it's doubled during the height of the pandemic, And according to research published in the journal Pediatrics, there were about 18 firearm-related emergency room visits every 30 days from 2017 to early 2020. But from March 2020 to November 2022, it was about 36 visits every 30 days. Well, just 1 year out from the 2024 election, former President Donald Trump took to the witness stand in New York today, testifying in the $250 million civil fraud lawsuit against him. The National Desk's Dee Gatton has the latest.
This is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that should be immediately dismissed.
Donald Trump making an appearance in court on Monday to testify in the trial that could threaten his business empire. The lawsuit, brought on by New York Attorney General Letitia James, alleges Trump and his co-defendants, including his sons Donald Jr. and Eric, fraudulently inflated assets to get better loans and insurance terms.
At the end of the day, the only thing that matters are the facts and the numbers. And numbers, my friends, don't lie.
While cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, CNN reports the former president argued with Judge Arthur Angoran, who warned Trump's attorney to keep him under control.
This is really election interference. That's all it is. This trial is ridiculous.
Constitutional and criminal law expert Alan Dershowitz agrees.
Having a trial before the election instead of postponing it until after the election, expecting there'll be findings against them or convictions, and then they'll be reversed on appeal after the election is over, is obviously intended to affect the election.
Angoran already ruled in September that Trump and other defendants are liable for fraud, but he must also decide on 6 other claims, including falsifying business records and issuing false financial statements. The former president and his eldest sons have denied wrongdoing. The trial could continue through the end of next month and comes as the former president is facing multiple trials in 2024. I'm Dee Gatton reporting.
We have 12 days until a possible government shutdown. House GOP leadership will meet tomorrow morning to go over different scenarios to avoid that outcome. Now, as of today, there are three options on the table. A clean government funding bill with no cuts, a laddered continuing resolution, which could lead to a cascade of shutdowns, and a continuing resolution with steep spending cuts. Passing 12 individual bills, the GOP's preference, Democrats are not optimistic about that approach.
We're committed to bringing 12 bills to the floor as the statutory law requires Congress to do. That hasn't been done in many years. But again, we're changing the way Washington works.
Republicans, largely led in the House, have repeatedly shut the government down. It was my hope that under new management, there would be a different approach, and that remains to be seen.
Now, Republicans in the Senate will likely wait and see if the House can move a bill before determining their next steps. So it's on the House GOP right now to get the ball rolling. President Biden announcing more than $16 billion in new funding for Amtrak rail projects along the East Coast. Now, the president says it will improve the lives of those who rely on rail travel every day.
This matters for businesses trying to get their goods to market. It matters for the parent commuting to work in the morning. It matters for folks trying to get home late for dinner.
Now, the money goes toward 25 passenger rail projects between Boston and Washington, D.C. It comes from the $1 trillion infrastructure law that the president signed about 2 years ago, one of Biden's signature legislative achievements. According to the White House, Amtrak will get about $66 billion in new investments.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's kick things off by looking at the headlines out there. Warm weather continues across the next few days. A cold front expected to move through during the weekend could cool us down into next week. Right now, a ridge, high pressure continuing to build and keep us dry across the area tonight into tomorrow. Tomorrow for voting day out the door, pretty chilly in the morning hours in the low to mid 50s, quickly warming up by the afternoon hours to the upper 70s to low 80s. Abundant sunshine lasting all throughout the day. Winds out of the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's look at the futurecast right now. Overnight tonight out the door, quickly warming up to the mid to upper 60s out there by 9:45 in the morning. Then toward the afternoon hours, notice not a single cloud is on the satellite and radar here throughout the day tomorrow. Wednesday into Thursday, a pretty similar story as well. Wednesday morning for that commute, upper 40s to lower 50s. Pretty similar story, upper 70s to lower 80s out there. That's going to be the high temperatures that we will be seeing up until the weekend when that front does move through. High temperatures tomorrow on a city-by-city basis, upper 70s, pockets of mid-80s farther inland, places like Claxton, Little Wissey, and Jessup in the mid-80s. Some relief on the immediate coastline in just the upper 70s in places like Savannah and the islands. Tomorrow night's cooling on down pretty seasonably, 55 for a low in Savannah, upper 40s farther inland, 49 in Claxton, 48 degrees in Statesboro. We will be staying clear all throughout the next few days, and then for your Wednesday, a little bit warmer inland. A lot of places in the mid-80s. Some places could even reach the upper 80s. Claxton 85, Little Wissey 85, Jessup as well. Again, still some relief, maybe a sea breeze on the immediate coastline with highs in just the upper 70s. And we're going to keep this trend in Savannah across the region in the next few days. Could be even seeing 80 degrees on Friday and then cooling things off once that front moves through back down toward seasonable temperatures out there. With that as well, chance for some isolated showers could move through. We desperately need the rain out there. So chance for some rain could be possible both Saturday and Sunday as well. 20% right now is the current consensus. Across the next few days, like I mentioned, above average temperatures. Again, our normal high is right around 73 to 75 degrees. So right around 5 degrees above that into the weekend, Veterans Day on Saturday. There's that cold front cooling things down, back down to the mid 60s out there. Definitely going to feel like fall next Sunday. We could warm things back up into next week, but we do know the next few days are going to be warm.
I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with a look at several new polls that spell trouble for President Joe Biden.
And the president has some new competition for the Democratic presidential primary. We hear from Marianne Williamson as she files her official name for the ballots in South Carolina. New polls are spelling out trouble for President Joe Biden. He's losing support from key Democratic blocs, and he's trailing former President Donald Trump in several swing states. The National Desk's Janae Bowens explains.
Less than a year away from Election Day 2024, and President Joe Biden has a lot of work ahead of him to secure a second term.
He just looks weak, and I'm not talking about physically.
Harsh criticism from comedian and media personality Charlemagne the God highlights Biden's waning support from key Democratic voting blocs. An ABC Ipsos poll shows Biden's favorability with blacks is low at 49%, and even lower with Hispanics at 33%. Support from younger voters is lagging too. A Quinnipiac poll shows independent presidential candidate 69-year-old Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has more support from voters ages 18 to 34. He's got 38%. 80-year-old Biden has 32%.
If you're that young, he just seems like someone from a different era.
When it comes to the potential matchup between Biden and former President Donald Trump, new numbers from the New York Times and Siena College shows President Biden falls behind Trump in 5 of the 6 battleground states. Voters say the economy and Biden's age are 2 huge factors.
A lot of concern about the age issue, and that is something that I think he needs to ponder.
Former Obama advisor David Axelrod suggesting Biden needs to carefully think about whether he should continue to seek re-election.
Just do a check and say, is this the right thing to do?
However, Trump's legal troubles could be Biden's saving grace. That same poll shows roughly 6% of voters across those 5 swing states would switch from Trump to Biden if Trump is convicted.
Trump has been very skillful at kind of belittling the attempts to get him, whether it's on impeachment or convictions or January 6th hearings.
Another political expert tells me that it's too early to read too much into these polls. A lot could happen between now and next November, but the consistently negative polling for Biden should have his campaign worried. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
There's now a new candidate for South Carolina's 2024 Democratic presidential primary. Author and political activist Marianne Williamson filed for the ballot today in Columbia. She joins President Biden and U.S. Congressman Dean Phillips. According to a recent poll, Williamson is favored among 16% Democratic voters, leaning left in the presidential primary. Now, Williamson spoke at the SC Democratic Party building this afternoon. She says the Palmetto State will be vital in her political success.
42% of South Carolinians who are single-parent families, 42% living in poverty. And so we need to repeal that 2017 tax cut, $2 trillion tax cut, where 83 cents of every dollar went to the highest earners. We need an economic U-turn in this country. We need an economic new beginning, and that is what I offer.
The primary election will be held on February 3rd, 2024. Well, with winter approaching, health officials want to make sure you're staying healthy, where you can get free COVID and flu testing in the Coastal Empire. Plus, dozens of people charged in the Cop City protest. They were arraigned in court today, what police accused them of doing.
This is Fox 28 News at 10.
61 protesters and activists who had been indicted on racketeering charges were arraigned in Atlanta today. Now, the charges stem from their efforts to stop construction of a planned public safety training center, which they called Cop City. Some of the defendants were accused of throwing Molotov cocktails, setting fire to police vehicles, and damaging construction equipment. The training center has been subject to a years-long protest movement. The city and Atlanta Police Foundation have argued it will help modernize the police force locally, but protesters oppose the facility on environmental and historical grounds. They say it would decimate a large preserved forest in the city and desecrate historically sacred Native American land. Well, Richmond County man has been indicted on federal charges for a bomb threat targeting the Augusta Social Security Administration's office. Now, according to the Department of Justice, Keon Dickens called the office on October 10th, threatening to use an explosive device to harm the building and workers. DOJ officials say that he displayed a note with the handwritten message, quote, "I have a bomb," to a security officer. Now, the officer alerted the sheriff's office and deputies took Dickens into custody. Well, another sunny day across the region. Chief Meteorologist Tommy House is timing out now more sunshine and some 80-degree days for us.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day, especially after we turn the clocks back. You'd expect some cooler temperatures, but we reached the upper 70s today. Right now, it's 56 in Savannah, getting pretty chilly up into the low country and Grand Strand. We reached 80 for a high today, 7 degrees above our normal of 73, only 6 degrees away from the record set in 2018. Sunset 5:30 p.m. It felt like midnight out there. Then I looked at my watch and it was, it's only 6 p.m. 56 right now, clear and calm. Dew point in the mid-40s, relatively dry out there. High pressure continuing to build, keeping us nice and dry. A few high-level clouds building into our region, but we should stay dry across the next few days. Temperatures cooling off to the mid to upper 40s inland tonight, mid 50s on the immediate coastline, a low of 52 in Savannah. Wind should stay relatively calm out there and clear. Out the door tomorrow, it's going to get definitely back warm to the upper 70s to lower 80s with abundant sunshine out there. We're going to talk about the next few days, a potential cold front that could be moving through Saturday, cooling down temperatures into next week. And a quick tropic update, all that coming up. You want to stick around here on Fox 28. Back to you.
Leaders in the city of Guyton are working towards increasing or creating a vision for the future of the park system locally. The city is planning to improve 2 facilities in particular. That's Bazemore Park and the Guyton Old School Park. Now, the plan includes increasing activity options, a splash pad, and outdoor amphitheater, to name a few, while also prioritizing safety and opportunities for all age groups. Listeners had the chance to also point out areas that they'd like to see improved.
We're going to use the dots again like we did last time, and they're color coded. So green dots mean you like the idea, yellow dot means could be better, red dot means do not do this at all.
Now, the architects and landscapers on the project pointed out how they plan to balance bike paths, walkways, and parking lot accessibility to the parks. Final draft will be announced at the end of the year, around December time. Well, the Georgia Department of Public Health has relaunched 7 testing kiosks around the Coastal Health District, providing free testing for COVID-19 and the flu. Now, here's a look at some of the locations. There they are. That will be open 24/7. The kiosks will dispense 2 kits, one for COVID-19, one for influenza. Now, the kits include nasal swabs and instructions. Users will have to package, the collected specimens back into the kits and return them to the kiosks. People will receive their test results by email or text within roughly 48 hours. As the holiday season approaches, DHEC is encouraging South Carolinians to get vaccinated. Officials say ahead of the holiday, family gatherings, updating your immunizations. That's the best way to protect yourself and family against respiratory diseases. Now, the fall and winter months are typically when people are at higher risk for seasonal viruses like the flu, RSV, and COVID-19. DHEC and the CDC recommend everyone 6 months and older get the updated COVID-19 vaccine and the annual flu vaccine. Earlier this year, the FDA approved and recommends that first vaccine for RSV for adults 60 years and up. Now, parents are also encouraged to talk with their child's doctor for RSV vaccine options for infants and children. Still ahead, the CDC also ramping up surveillance at some airports, what they're testing for at major airports as we near holiday travel season. The head of the National Transportation Safety Board is calling out the Federal Aviation Administration over its mental health policies for pilots. Now, it comes about a month after authorities arrested an off-duty pilot who allegedly tried to shut down the engines of a plane during a Horizon Air flight. Now, the pilot's family said he had been depressed and too scared to seek help in fears of losing his license. Now, health officials say it's a pervasive stigma in the airline industry. As it stands, pilots are immediately grounded after disclosing any mental health treatments. The FAA mandated evaluations could take months to complete. The CDC is expanding disease surveillance at 4 major airports. Agency officials will test for pathogens at Boston Logan International Airport, JFK in New York, Dulles in Washington, D.C., and San Francisco International. Now, the CDC is looking for viruses like the flu and RSV, as well as antimicrobial resistance targets. Now, there has been a traveler surveillance program at 7 major U.S. airports since the COVID-19 pandemic began, with the goal of detecting new variants.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, what critics find so concerning about anti-Israel protests.
Plus, if your steering wheel is decorated, beware the dangers federal officials say it could pose to you. Israeli troops continue to surround Gaza City in the on-the-ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. Now, yesterday, Israel's military said its troops reached Gaza's coastline and have split the northern and southern parts of the Strip. And according to Israeli media outlets, Israel's troops are expected to enter Gaza City tonight or tomorrow. Israel has so far rejected calls from the U.S. and other countries to take a humanitarian pause to the ongoing war. An American official says Israel has the right to defend itself, but how the country does, that matters. Israel officials have said their military operations in Gaza will keep going until hostages are returned and Hamas is defeated. Now, during a visit to the Middle East, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that there are different views on a ceasefire, but, quote, everyone would welcome humanitarian pauses.
There's no doubt from my conversations with all of our colleagues who were in Amman yesterday that everyone would welcome the humanitarian pause because, again, it can advance things that we're all trying to accomplish.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected the idea of a ceasefire in Gaza unless hostages are released. Blinken also told reporters he expects more humanitarian aid to start flowing into the Gaza Strip within the coming days.
We're working, as I said, very aggressively on getting more humanitarian assistance into Gaza, and we have very concrete ways of doing that. And I think you'll see in the days ahead that assistance can expand in significant ways so that more gets into people who need it and gets to the people who need it.
Blinken is now traveling to Japan to brief the leaders of the Group of Seven on the progress he made during his trip to the Middle East. According to data from the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitism in America specifically has increased 388% since Hamas's October 7th terrorist attack. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins reports.
It's a catchy rhyme.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Heard at anti-Israel marches from the gates of the White House to the hallways of a San Francisco high school.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Critics like lawyer Alan Dershowitz say it's extremely anti-Semitic and highly problematic.
They're not in favor of a two-state solution. They're not in favor of resolving this issue. It's about destroying the state of Israel forever and eliminating every Jew from the Middle East.
The chant refers to the land in between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, where Israel stands. For most Jews, it means wiping them off the face of the earth, which is why it's a battle cry for Hamas. Rashida Tlaib defending its use in a new video, calling it an aspirational call for freedom. Jewish colleagues in the House, like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, slamming Tlaib, writing, "This phrase means eradicating Israel and the Jews, period. Dressing it up in a new PR ploy won't change that." While many of the protesters' messages are specifically pro-Palestinian and not anti-Semitic, other imagery popping up does seem to fall in line with getting rid of the Jewish people. Posters showing the Jewish star in trash cans with phrases, "Keep the world clean."
And that's directly a Nazi slogan. And they complain about ethnic cleansing, and they're the ones who want to clean the world of Jews.
Swastika graffiti popping up in Montauk. In France, a swastika painted on the door of a 30-year-old Jewish woman who was stabbed to death. In Beverly Hills, a woman did a Hail Hitler salute passing a pro-Israel rally.
On Capitol Hill, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene planning to reintroduce a bill to censure Representative Rashida Tlaib, claiming Tlaib's latest video calls for a genocide of Israel. Greene's first attempt to censure Tlaib failed last week. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins for the National Desk, America's News Now.
Senator Lindsey Graham is holding out hope for a funding bill that supports both Israel and Ukraine.
I am for Ukraine support. We can't pull the plug on Ukraine, let Putin get away with this. There goes Taiwan if you do that. I'm definitely for Israel. So I think you'll see a package of border security, funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel coming out of the Senate, probably as one package. I would support that.
And speaking on CNN yesterday, the South Carolina Republican says there's wide bipartisan support for such a bill in the Senate. It comes, though, in response to House Republicans who are championing a $14 billion aid package for just Israel using money cut from the IRS. President Biden is vowing to veto that bill, but it also faces an uphill battle in the Democratic-controlled Senate. If you added bling to the center of your car's steering wheel, the federal government says it's got to go. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced today people should immediately remove, any aftermarket decorations on their steering wheel. The items can dislodge from the wheel in a crash and cause serious injuries. The agency hasn't named any specific products or manufacturers, but said in general, steering wheel decorations are potentially very dangerous. 2 more companies have issued recalls of their cinnamon applesauce pouches due to possible lead contamination. Now, the latest recall includes Canucks brand pouches and Weiss branded pouches. Wanabana apple cinnamon fruit puree also is involved. They were recalled last month. Now, the FDA says 7 cases of possible lead exposure have been found in 5 states. Symptoms can include headaches, vomiting, and fatigue, although they aren't typically seen right away. The FDA says toddlers and young children who may have consumed the recalled pouches should get a blood test to check for elevated lead levels.
November heat is expected to return all throughout the region. Highs in the upper 70s to potential mid-80s tomorrow with abundant sunshine. High pressure sticking around. A few higher level clouds expected to move in tonight. All that should be cleared out starting tomorrow. When you're going to the polls all throughout the day, it's going to be sunny. No need for that umbrella or rain jacket with high temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s in Savannah. A little bit warmer inland, winds out of the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So these higher level clouds should all clear out overnight tonight. So you're going to start off the day tomorrow. Temperatures in the lower 70s to upper 60s out there. Winds out of the west. And not a drop of rain. Cloud cover shouldn't be a thing throughout the day tomorrow and even into Wednesday as well. A copy and paste forecast. So Wednesday morning when you are driving to work, it's going to be relatively the same temperature as it would be tomorrow morning in the mid 50s, warming back up to the 80s by the afternoon hours for Wednesday. And this is going to be the same case not only for Wednesday, but Thursday, Friday, into the weekend as well, before we time a cold front that could really cool things down. So across the area tomorrow, cooler on the coast, warmer inland, mid-80s returning. No sorts of wind gusts. Wind should stay relatively calm, but from the west again at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night out and about, maybe a sweater or a cardigan out there. Temperatures not nearly as chilly as it was a few days ago. So upper 40s, 49 in Claxton, 48 in Statesboro tomorrow night. 55 in Savannah, warmer on the immediate coastline. And then for your Wednesday, maybe even a bit warmer inland. Some places could reach the upper 80s. Claxton 85, Idalia 84 degrees, Bexley 82, Jessup 85. Some relief on the immediate coastline, the islands may just stay in the mid 70s. So if you're escaping the heat, Tybee might be the place to go across the next few days. Upper 70s continuing well above average. Our normal high of 73 degrees. Well, not going to reach for a high temperature until past Saturday once that cold front moves through. 60s for high temperatures likely to return starting Sunday. And when we're timing this cold front that's expected to move through, again, we have abnormal drought conditions across our area. So we desperately need the rain now. And I feel like it's been a few weeks since we've had a good rainstorm, but projected maybe Saturday into Sunday, we could be seeing a few spotty showers out there right now. We're just going to say 20% for that. We do know it's going to be 100% dry across the next 72 hours or so. Temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s out there with that high pressure cooling back off past Saturday into Sunday. High temperatures Sunday into Monday in just the mid 60s, 10 degrees below that normal high between 73 and 75 degrees on Sunday. Past the chance for some showers Saturday and Sunday. We're going to dry on out, heading off into next week. Tommy House Fox 28 on Facebook. Tommy at WTGS Fox28Savannah.com. You can check out some weather blogs and detailed forecasts. So we're going to stay dry across the next few days and warm. That is the weather story. Going to send it right back to you.
Still to come, looking to plan next year's vacation? Well, the National Geographic has you covered. See what areas they're listing as the coolest places to travel. releases the cool list of places to travel. Here's a quick look. The United States, the entire state of New York, Texas, they made the cut on it. Now, specifically, National Geographic advises visiting New York City and also Lake Placid and Niagara Falls. Texas is recommended for having several great spots to catch next year's total solar eclipse. About half of the 30 places on the list are in Europe, including the ruins of Pompeii, the mountains of Albania. Some other cool spots include Lima, Peru, and Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Well, thanks so much for staying up with us. Make sure you stay with us for Kirby Smart All Access. That's coming up. You can always get the latest news and weather on fox28savannah.com. See you back here tomorrow night at 10.